It is January 18th, 2022, NXT 2.0. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Tonight, the Dusty Cup, the tournament begins. We had a main event, Roderick Strong versus Walter. Tony D'Angelo held a funeral for P.D. Poppins. All that and more on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstien, joined by Alfred Konuwa and NYC Demon Diva Issa, who I feel like I spend more time with lately than even my cats.
Way too much time, Glenn. We're spending way too much time together.
Way too much
That's why
time.
I think I spent like 20 hours without texting you. I needed the separation.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like a third wheel over here with you guys all buddying up without me.
Hey, we
Oh no, you spent 2 hours with us on Sunday.
No, I know, that was
You
a
spent 2
lot of
hours with us.
Yeah.
We gotta
We're all
sleep over.
inclusive here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, though. The crossover grows every day between our two podcast communities. But that being said, before Raj texts me and says, "Don't talk about Yellow Jackets, you're going to spoil it for me." He said he was going to start watching it. So I'm curious if we can get him in on the hive. But,
I've got a couple people in the Yellow Jackets. I won't shut up about it. And a couple of my friends started watching it and they love it.
So good. So good. And tonight, NXT. Nothing, aside from the All Valley Under 18 karate tournament, has there ever been good storytelling in a tournament fashion?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you define as storytelling, because I do like the story of a Cinderella. Like, my favorite tournament every year is March Madness, and I love March Madness because any team can get beat on any day. So they're kind of telling that story with one particular aspect, but other than that, there's not really a story to be told with this tournament.
I think that is the only story to tell. It's basically the Daniel LaRusso story. Like, that's really, you know?
Absolutely. That's a great... You saw that Cobra Kai, huh?
Yeah. Oh, man. The Cobra Kai. They just wanted to learn karate. Why are these dojos at war?
Not spoiling. I haven't watched any season yet.
Yes. Stellar Justin Lopez, $4.99. One last time. Walter doesn't perform. Walter kills. There you go.
Mean Gunther, I think is what he meant to say.
Oh, Jesus. That's not, they're not doing that for...
Let's hope not, but I don't know, man.
I saw that story today and it was just like, does anyone legitimately facepalm? Because I was pretty close on that one. What's in the news?
Yeah. Well, what's in the news? Are you guys ready for the return of Jon Moxley? Because it is happening tomorrow in AEW in Washington, D.C. Of course, reported last week that Jon Moxley would be returning to GCW. That's when his first match was announced to return, but no AEW date. Now his AEW date is confirmed for tomorrow on Dynamite. Issa, what do we think?
I think that Tony Khan said, if you're going to come back, you're going to come back to AEW first, not GCW. That's what I think happened. Straight up. Listen, I'm excited to see Mox. I want to see what mentality he's in. I hope he cuts a promo. I think AEW has gotten so lucky with their roster and having so many talented guys over there that you didn't miss him. So he can take the time. But I do think Eddie Kingston has felt a little directionless since Mox has been gone. Except for the feud with Punk, I think Eddie Kingston is a little bit lost without Mox. So I think he's probably more excited than anyone. But 1,000%, I guarantee you they're making him come back to AEW first.
Makes sense, right? Good to see Moxley back, though. Hope he's doing well.
Back just in time for the Royal Rumble, too, if you believe those rumors.
I mean, why? Why?
I don't know why that's out there, but people really seem convinced that Dean Ambrose is showing up for the Royal Rumble, which I think there's going to be a lot of disappointed people if they actually think that.
There was a better chance that Adam was Javi than there is of Dean Ambrose entering the Royal Rumble.
I don't know about that, but yeah, man.
No, I don't know. I think there's a bigger chance for Ambrose to show up than Cody Rhodes.
Then Cody Rhodes is a free agent. I mean, you never. I don't.
Okay, a free agent.
These rumors are fun. I love that they're springing up around the time of the Royal Rumble. But yeah, I like your point about Eddie Kingston, Issa. But I will say that I've liked post Moxley Eddie Kingston. I'm actually not really looking forward to them reuniting in their previous roles where he was just kind of like the second fiddle to Moxley. I loved Eddie Kingston when he was in his feud with CM Punk. It was like his coming out party, and he's starting to feud with Jericho. I do agree that he does seem a little erratic right now, but I do like Eddie Kingston on his own. I hope that they continue to explore what they can do with him, even though Jon Moxley is back.
We'll see where they go. We'll see where they go with Moxley too, because I'm still curious about if Moxley was meant to win that tournament or was it Bryan? we will never know. Maybe Mox was supposed to be Adam Page's first storyline, so he might move on to that. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to see him, and I hope that he's doing well. Nothing but health and positive vibes for Mox.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of health and positive vibes, of course, Jeff Hardy was ousted from WWE not too long ago, but the Hardy Boyz' return has been announced for Big Time Wrestling on March 12th. So we will be seeing Matt and Jeff Hardy reuniting as the Hardy Boyz for a Big Time Wrestling event in Massachusetts. Are you excited about that, Glenn? And will this possibly lead to Jeff Hardy in AEW? Do you see that being his final destination?
It does seem like TK would recognize the opportunity to do some business, make some money, build up some younger teams. I mean, why not? I think the WWE run was amazing how they came in so hot, and then it just started diminishing returns almost immediately. Maybe partially because they were trying to keep the broken Matt stuff a little bit back burner, in addition to everything else. I think give them a clean run with creative control in AEW and let them go out on top.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm never not going to be excited to see the Hardy Boyz reunite. I think they're amazing. They're a great tag team. To Glenn's point, I almost feel like WWE picked them up because they had so much momentum going, and they ended up just killing that momentum. You have to remember that's when they were doing their collection of gold, going through all these indie companies and winning their tag teams. That was exciting. I knew what was going on in companies I never heard of before because of what Matt and Jeff Hardy were doing at that time. So yes, I'm excited to see them reunite. And I haven't really liked what they've been doing with Matt Hardy. So maybe this direction will get him to pick up some steam in AEW.
Yeah. So if they do have the Hardy Boyz in AEW, that means that we'll have Christian, the Hardy Boyz. Okay. So we just need Edge and the Dudleys to come to AEW. We're going to have a TLC in 2022. What do you think?
Stranger things have happened.
No.
Well, good for Jeff. His health is always top of mind with me, and I just hope that he's in the right state of mind, and he's as healthy as can be and stuff. But I do think that would actually be a pretty good addition to the tag team division because it is loaded, and they do have a lot of talented tag teams. But I think of FTR and the Hardys would be a lot of fun. The Hardys Young Bucks, I've seen that match actually a couple of times around the country, and that's always a good match. But there's a lot they can do in the tag team division with the Hardys, I think.
Absolutely.
And your final news story, we kind of touched on this on Friday. We were talking about the different WrestleMania matchups, but according to Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio, it looks like we are not going to be getting a title-for-title match at WrestleMania. Now, I feel very strongly about this. I think WWE had no business putting the titles on both of them this close to WrestleMania and then pulling away from it. Whatever they do, I think any alternative is going to be a downgrade from what a title-for-title could be. But starting with you, Issa, how do you feel about WWE not doing a title-for-title potentially at WrestleMania between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar?
So Meltzer, yes, of course. Thanks, Alfred. Thanks.
Yeah.
So Meltzer confirmed that a match that we the fans fantasy booked is not happening, right? Because at no time WWE said this match was even happening. It was never a possibility. They did have to take a detour, but this was never a thing. We made it a thing.
I disagree with that. Yeah, I don't think we made it a thing. Brock Lesnar literally with his belt and Roman Reigns holding the belt. Champ versus champ, title versus title.
We're not going to go there. You're not going to bring Beastie into this. We will not blame Beastie for any of the circumstances of us misunderstanding his words.
I've been disappointed by Beastie, but not to talk ill of the man. I want to see him in a title for title. I think that's supporting the guy. Glenn, what do you think about a title for title? Would you rather see that than anything else in WWE?
Are they going to go the two belts or the unification route?
That's a good question. There's a bunch they could do. They could do unification. I don't know why they would need to, but they could just have.
No, it has to be two belts. It has to be two belts. There's two networks here. I don't see them unifying any titles and locking down one of your top stars to just one brand. I feel like that will be drama with whatever network doesn't get that star. I think you do the two belts, and that way you can have the person go back and forward. They can share them for a little bit.
Well, they could do it with the unification. I mean, the rule could be that the champ crosses between brands. It's funny, on the women's side, I feel like they've got more credible contenders for dual championship feuds on each brand. On the men's side, though, they just keep painting themselves further and further into a corner.
Yes, especially with baby faces, and that is showing in a big way right now because they need a heel from Raw in order to be the de facto baby face against Roman Reigns, and they just have nobody ready. You watch that Raw show, it's like who's ready to step up and be that kind of next guy in terms of the depth they have. And I do agree they have some of it in the women's division, but especially when it comes to baby faces, they have not created anybody on that main roster.
Yeah, we shall see. What else do we got?
That is our news for today.
There you go. That's everything that happened today.
Want to talk a little Yellow Jackets with the remaining time we got? 5 minutes of Yellow Jackets, everybody. Just I'm just kidding.
We've got a separate podcast. Actually, on YouTube, go on YouTube on Issa's channel. You can watch our live reaction from Saturday night. It was so much fun. So
if
much
you love
fun.
seeing the three of us together, you can get an extra 2 hours of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of fun. We loved it. We were on a high.
Oh, yes. Terry Allen Jr., $2.70. Alfred, WWE 2K22 leaks yesterday. Today you saw, question mark?
I've seen them. I've seen the trailer particularly. That game is some of the best graphics I've ever seen, not only in wrestling, but just it's so realistic. And I'm very excited to see how it looks when it comes out, but it looks really good.
It's so realistic that at any point during a match, your wrestler could be future endeavored.
Yeah.
Shut up, Glitch.
Future Endeavor mode is that's what they're going to be working on. My GM, you just fire everybody. That's what the My GM mode is. You're going to get a budget of like
in one of the storylines, they're gonna make you like build up this entire roster, and then when you log in the next day, they fire 3 of your wrestlers, and you gotta rewrite all your storylines, and then they do it again.
You know, you joke. That sounds lit. That sounds like it'd be fun to play. Like under the gun, you got to actually write under the gun. That'd be a lot of fun.
And in GM mode, you've got like NBC Universal yelling at you. You've got Fox yelling at you. You know?
There you go. The network executives are not happy that Roman Reigns was on Raw the other night. Oh.
You got to worry about the stock price, and make layoffs at the PC staff. I mean, yeah, there's a lot they could do.
You got to run everything through Bruce Pritchard. It'll be fun.
And you gotta ruin your developmental brand. That's the most important part.
Raj did not like my wild speculation about WWE outsourcing NXT to TNA Impact or to Impact.
What did he have a problem with? I mean,
he was just like, there's no reason that would happen. Tape libraries aren't worth anything anymore. They're not going to get money from Peacock. Like, it's like, first off, we talked about this. Does this tie into Yellow Jackets? Here's the great thing about crazy theories. If you're wrong, who cares? But if you're right, that's what people remember, and you look like a genius.
Yes. Exactly.
So that's why I say spitball it, man. Just have the crazy theories, Why not?
And then you have it recorded. You can just, post that to the world and show everybody how much of a genius you are.
Yeah, this is an AEW. We don't put the win-loss record on screen, when those theories happen. I feel like the only time in my life I deal like with a win-loss record is when my wife and I have an argument about who's right, and then just subliminally is flashing at Glenn like 0 and 26, and that's for 2022, coincidentally enough. Brian Medina, $5. Gunther versus Roman and Brock versus Lashley would be a good thing for WrestleMania.
There you go, Brian. Way to get into the spirit, Brian. The WWE spirit. His name is Gunther now.
Who is Gunther? I don't know a Gunther. Okay.
If you put it in all caps, would you have recognized it?
No.
I don't know anything. But I do know NXT was on tonight, followed by The Accountant, a movie I've seen all the way through once, and I've seen the ending of a good 35 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because of wrestling.
It's on all the time. We used to get different episodes of SVU or NCIS, and now it's just The Accountant. And strangely, it's on USA and it's on TNT. How did that happen?
Wow. It's like the opposite of what would happen with Silk Stockings, where I've seen the beginning of Silk Stockings plenty of times, after you watch Raw. Now you get to see the ending of movies as you tune into NXT and AEW.
I never watched Silk Stockings. I was more of a Red Shoe Diaries kind of guy, which... I was a young man in the early 90s. We only had Showtime. Our pay-per-view didn't carry anything beyond that. Carollo's Zachary, $4.99. By outsourcing the developmental brand, they could save money. WWE is all about the bottom line. Now Nick Khan would do something just like this. I agree, Glenn.
There you go, Glenn.
Yeah,
show that super chat show that to Raj, please.
Absolutely. This is a wild conspiracy theory, and if it happens, Glenn's a genius. I mean, he's already a genius, but he's more of a genius.
1000%.
We need some speculation. I mean, forget this. Oh, Moxley's going to appear in the Rumble. That's foolish.
Yeah, there's reasoning behind that. I see why you believe this. I don't think it's that wild of a theory, seeing that they're starting to work with Impact. Their developmental does need some bodies in terms of experienced wrestling veterans and whatnot. And so if it's not a full-fledged relationship, maybe, like a Forbidden Door scenario, but I couldn't rule out Impact working with WWE.
Impact's craft services and catering is just like 10 pizzas from Papa John's. Like, they're doing things on a shoestring budget, and WWE admires that. Plus, they get to reclaim like Braun Strowman and some of the contracts of guys. I bet you Braun Strowman is making like a 10th through Impact of what he was making through WWE.
Yeah, if that, maybe a little more than that, but yeah.
If that.
They're giving him gas money and, a cot in the back.
Somewhere to sleep, yeah.
Yeah. S7V7 and Clown 499. Looks like Glenn and Alfred are not using Manscaped. I need to do the full.
How do you know?
Yeah, exactly. Don't make me open an OnlyFans to show you that I'm using Manscaped. Matter of fact, shout out to Manscaped right here. I got some of the cologne with me right now. Look at this great cologne. I've got some of the Manscaped sharpening tools right here in my possession everywhere I go. Shout out to Manscaped. I'm going to get Issa to teach me how to use OnlyFans. And I'm opening it up.
I love how you always have it right near. Like, I don't know how you always manage that, but it's always near you. It's funny.
It's in every room because you never know when it's going to happen.
True. Okay, NXT tonight. We opened with LA Knight.
Let's start the show.
LA Knight coming into the Performance Center, taking the mic as fans chanted his name. The crowd was hyped, and he calls out Grayson Waller. There is no sign of Waller, so Knight turns his back and asks if this is what it takes, because we know Waller won't look him in the eyes. And Knight goes on running Waller down and talking about their issues, taking shots at the newcomer. But then the music hits, and out comes Waller to the entranceway. He has a restraining order to keep Knight away from him. Fans boo, and Waller says Knight attacked him like a dog last week. Waller says this restraining order is for his safety, but more importantly, for Knight's safety. Slides a copy into the ring and says if Knight gets within 50 feet of him, he will be arrested immediately. Waller taunts Knight, but Knight tells him to shut up. Fans chant, "Rip that shit." Waller dares Knight to, threatening legal action. But then out comes Dexter Loomis. Waller turns and waits for Loomis ready to fight, but he's not coming out. And we end up going to Dexter Loomis versus Grayson Waller. So what did you think of this opening promo and the match?
I thought the whole thing was weird, right? Like, I don't get what they're doing with Grayson Waller at all. I don't get it. And in addition to that, LA Knight, we are supposed to believe that he's mega rich based on his feud with Cameron Grimes. So why is he concerned about legal action? He should be able to afford better lawyers than Grayson Waller. I was very happy when Dexter Loomis came out to kind of like save the moment. And I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like the whole restriction order thing is just silly. And for him to say, oh, it's for Knight's protection, that's kind of like, I don't know. I don't think that makes Grayson Waller look at the badass that he's supposed to be looking like. So I thought it was weird and I thought it was weak. And it took Dexter Loomis to kind of like bring it back. I did have good appreciation for the crowd tonight. They were alive for a lot of the show.
I agree. I thought this crowd was really good, and especially the "Rip That Shit" chant was very funny. It's kind of a very unique chant that you don't really hear in NXT. I will say it was kind of damaging for Dexter Loomis because the story that they basically told with this, like Dexter Loomis is supposed to be this terrifying psychopath that everybody's scared of, and they said, okay, either you get the restraining order, you have to fight LA Knight, this kind of this wrestler, he's just a human being, or you have to fight this crazy psychopath that everybody's afraid of. They go to break and they come back and he fights Dexter Loomis like it's nothing. Like, no, I'll fight the sociopath. Well, then how dangerous is he if Grayson Waller just wants to fight him instead of LA Knight? I thought it was really a kind of undercutting for that Dexter Loomis character that he fought him, and then he ended up beating him. And then they had the heater. I will say this about Grayson Waller. I know you guys have your complaints about him, and I do too, but he does feel like the top star of this show. I know in name value, especially watching this particular episode, Braun Breaker was like in backstage segments mostly, really didn't do much. He's a champion and whatnot, so he was just kind of backstage. And then Grayson Waller is the guy who's getting the matches with AJ Styles. He got the opening segment. I feel like they're doing a lot more investing in his character. He now has a heater, who I thought was Veer for a second, but It's actually I think it's an NIL recruit, so the IWC is not going to like that.
Fear is too busy coming.
I thought we were getting back on the rails tonight, Issa.
Yeah, that's a good point, Alfred. And I didn't think about it from that perspective, as if he shows Dexter Loomis over LA Knight. Like, when you put it that way, it kind of does changes like my mind about how that went down, because it does make Dexter Loomis look less dangerous. Like, yeah, I'll fight this guy, I don't care. So I appreciate, this is why they put us together in this thing, because we look at things differently. Special shout out to Wayne in the chat, who says he's the antler queen.
Shout out.
When you read the results, it all sounds like fan fiction.
It does.
When you read what happened. After the match, Grayson Waller stood tall, celebrate as his music hits and the fans boo him. We go to replays as he stands tall with his new bodyguard showing him off. Backstage, we saw Walter getting physical with Malcolm Bivens in the locker room until Roderick Strong made the save and had words for Walter. Strong versus Walter will be tonight's main event. Then we start.
Walter? I'm sorry, is this a new wrestler? Walter, I don't know that.
It's not. They're not going to name him after the German submarine or whatever, or the battleship, right? How did nobody Google that first? Like, and that story was legit, right? Like, there was no hyperbole.
Maybe they did Google it. Do you think about that? Maybe it was on purpose.
This is a company that's doing the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia. I don't think they have problems.
Elimination Hall.
Elimination Bourgeois.
If I edit tonight's podcast, the final runtime is going to be like 3 minutes.
It'll be a hot 3 minutes, though.
Hot 3 minutes. Carello's on fire tonight with the super chats. Harland versus Waller. He will get his ass killed.
That's interesting, because there are two guys who are being protected right now, but I don't see them doing that anytime soon.
Yeah. So what happened then? Oh, the Dusty. First round, the Creed brothers versus Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah.
That was, you know what? Listen, I did like parts of this match. I thought the Creed brothers reminded me why I fell in love with them, because they were explosive and it was kind of a car crash type match. And so there were parts of this match that I liked. A lot of screen time for Malcolm Bivens tonight, which I also liked. And I liked that the Creed brothers won. I'm glad. I thought that they were giving the push to Brooks and Jensen, because they're doing this thing with the women backstage with Casey and Kaden, where they're like double dating these awkward cowboys. But I'm glad that the Creed brothers won.
It's true.
There's different parts to a car crash, Alfred. You could be in the car crash, which is tragic. You could be the paramedics trying to come and the police trying to come, or you could be the people stuck in traffic because of the car crash. So there's a lot of different ways that you could have seen this match. I agree with the Creed brothers. I thought they were the right choice to win, but this was one of those matches that kind of happened, and I just couldn't get invested in. Like, no matter what, the match was good. There was a lot of really good in-ring wrestling today. I just wish we were able to become a little more invested in the characters.
Yes,
it's true. Issa was watching the Creed brothers and saying, "Can you take me higher?" And then they won and embraced each other with arms wide open.
2 references in one. I like it.
That was actually masterful. Again, why I think Glenn is a genius.
So Creed goes forward. Brooks and Dunn, well, yes, they had a backstage segment later, which we'll talk about. So what was after that? Dante Chen video package. What'd you think of this, Issa?
I believe this is when I tweeted you that I feel like I'm watching this show, but I'm not really watching.
There were a lot of promos tonight. Like, this was interestingly paced.
They are trying to get us involved in too many new characters, and it's very hard to do it when every week you're throwing 5 new people at me. We cover NXT weekly, so this is not like we watch it sporadically, and I still don't know who 80% of these people are, and then they still keep throwing new people at us, and that's what makes it hard to become invested in, because again, the wrestling is good, but it's just, do I care about these people wrestling? I don't, because I don't know who they are, and you're still throwing new people for me to get to know. Like, this isn't speed dating. It's not.
Yeah, it's an important part of a wrestling promotion to tell us who people are. And I know there's a lot of new people, but it's just one after another. And it's really, really hard to get invested in so many different people's stories. And I hope they stick with some of them, but some of them are running it back. Dante Chen and Sarai, they're running it back in terms of retelling us the stories because they went away for a while. So there just needs to be continuity, and they need to just take a long-term approach in terms of telling these stories. And less is more for some of these shows because there's way too many segments.
Yeah, and if you're going to introduce us to people with promos, every once in a while they get it right. They did with Tony D'Angelo. We were into Tony D'Angelo the second that very first promo aired. Then do something different with these promos because they're all starting to feel like they're overlapping each other and they feel the same. And sometimes I feel like I'm watching the same promo for the same person, but it turns out it's not. When they show up next week, I'm like, who is this person? And they say, we showed you last week. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember.
And that's why this Walter name change, I refuse to acknowledge it.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. I liked Dante Chen's story, but he could use a mouthpiece, with all due respect.
Like to protect his teeth?
He's got no... like Malcolm Bivens, maybe.
Ask Petey Poppins how that mouthpiece helped him out.
Yeah, seriously. Now he's in a coffin.
It's true.
He was in that coffin, by the way. Don't think he wasn't. Tony D'Angelo bodied Pete Dunne. It's over for you.
1,000%. And do you know that his family's in the sanitation business?
Oh, yeah. Pete Dunne might be long gone. I mean, I'll have a chance to do it again, but we might have seen the last of Pete Dunne.
He'll show up with a new name. You know, show up with a new name.
Yeah. He'll be Walter. That's what it is.
Oh, no.
Now, that being said, I could see if Vince McMahon and Bruce are overseeing all of NXT now, which, you know, they're paying attention. They think Walter is a strong name, but Walter is a little soft. There's no badass name Walter.
Or there's somebody in Vince McMahon's
Have you
life.
heard of Walter Mercado, the greatest astrologer on earth? That's a badass name, Walter. Thank you very much.
I'm just saying, Gunther, it's got gun right in the name, so it's dangerous.
And it's so, like, aggressively German. It's like, you know, it's like hits you over the head, which is more Vince McMahon's style, that it's like, no, not Walter. Everybody has to know that it's like the most German name ever, so they're just kind of ratcheting it up.
Okay, yeah. Alfredo Potato.
So, this led Dante Chen versus Guru Raj. And Duke Hudson, top the barricade.
Bald Duke Hudson.
Oh, Duke Hudson.
See, here's another thing. He was a poker player a couple months ago, and now he's this enraged psychopath. I feel like everybody's just trying to find their voice in NXT.
Wait,
so we're
is
in this
he the one
transitional
that got his
thing.
head shaved? He
Yes.
got his head shaved. Okay.
Yes,
See?
like Cameron Grimes. Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
He's a different guy now. So now we have to get used to somebody else with a new story.
But did the poker story ever work?
No, but that's my fear, is that they're going to do this one and it's not going to work. And then next week he's going to come back as a plumber.
As a plumber, really?
Yeah.
No.
And then the week after
The
that,
plumbers use crowbars? Because we did that already, kind of.
What's a good occupation that they haven't had for a gimmick yet?
A barber. Have they had a barber? Oh, yeah, of course. I was thinking like my barber, like a black barber, not Brutus the barber, like Jamal the barber.
How would that work, Alfred?
He wouldn't have the clippers. He would have, like, you know, the shears. He'd give people Caesars and stuff like that. And you'd have like the barber shop, but it wouldn't be like this. It would be people going in there like talking about Pete Davidson. So you think he's really hitting that, and you know what people talk about the barber shop. That would be the barber shop I would watch.
I would watch that. I would 100% watch that. Oh man.
I was gonna say, what about an IT person? But we did have the hacker, and that definitely didn't work out.
The IT person going around being like, when's the last time you changed your passwords? How secure are they?
Yeah, that would be heel.
You know,
he goes around reading people's post-its to make sure you're not leaving the password in the post-it note in your like. That would be awesome, actually.
And he's talking
or no, but no. It would be like a real IT person or like an Apple like that works at the Genius Bar, and then he's like hacking people's phones and like reading through text messages, and then he realizes that everybody thinks that he sucks, and he goes and confronts them.
See, I'm thinking he's backstage at catering, and he's just like, my first car was a real piece of junk. It was like a Mitsubishi Lancer. What was your first car? And they're like, Chevy Nova. And they're like, don't tell anyone that. Now I can guess your security question. And he gets like all irate at people. Kyrello Zachary with the WAD tonight. Just funding
making it rain.
Country club membership for when he plays golf and runs into Bobby Lashley and gives him an awkward nod. $199 when opponents lose, they get their haircut.
Yeah, but listen, this barber would be so lit that like everybody would want their haircut like that because he'd be lining people up. So everybody would just do the job to him just so they can get that haircut. And then he goes to WrestleMania doing this.
I looked into the cost of getting a barber to come to me where I am in Vegas to cut my hair in the backyard because I'm sick of doing it myself. And for the cost, I was like, I better get lines shaved in my head or like a fade or something elaborate, because if it's all the same cost, if they're coming to me, I'm really going all out.
That's good. That's a good philosophy.
Same cost either way. So after that, we had Braun Breaker and talking to Mackenzie about his brief interaction with Santos Escobar last week. And this was setting up some things for later in the evening. Then somebody tweeted us and said, is this going to be good or bad? And I wanted to respond and say, the real question is this going to be amazing or incredible? Because Tony D'Angelo hosted a memorial service for Pete Dunne tonight where they used like, oh my God, when I pass away, if the internet can remember this or make a note of this, I want you to find a similar photo of me that looks so not like the sort of picture you would have at somebody's memorial. Because this photo of Pete Dunne tonight was incredible.
Yeah. I think he should have used the face app photo that I tweeted of Pete Dunne. That's the photo that should have been used tonight.
That would be a nice photo. I think he'd be pissed if that happened, but that would be very fun. Seeing him smile like that.
They should have gotten an elaborate airbrush with like him up in the clouds with like his name and like script above it, something kind of fancy.
It did look like kind of a headshot.
In the clouds, and he's blocked by like Jimi Hendrix and Jesus and like Betty White.
Sidney Poitier.
Topical. Yeah, like we could really make this topical.
That'd be fun.
But no, instead it was an awesome photo of Pete Dunne and Tony D'Angelo. What did you think of his eulogy, Alfred?
I thought it looked like he got lost a little bit.
He did at one point, but I'm going to forgive him.
But I thought his delivery was really good. I liked the involvement with Trick Williams, who he like nobody does more with less. They need to learn more about how they book Trick. He doesn't really say much, but when he does get a chance to talk, it's like short, explosive, and memorable. I always remember what Trick says. And it's always kind of pops me. And so I like the segment overall, but it kind of had a rocky start. But I thought Tony D was overall pretty good.
Yeah, I saw the point at one point. He got a little bit lost, but I completely forgave him when he started finally talking about a championship and going for some gold, because that's what we have been wanting for Tony D'Angelo since day one. And I agree with you about Trek. I always remember his lines, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Like, it's amazing that he does that. And I'm looking forward to this feud. A little worried. I don't know that they'll let Tony beat Carmelo Hayes. Scares me for Tony, because Tony has momentum. He's our GOAT.
As much as I don't think they'll let him beat Cameron Grimes. It looks like they're setting up Cameron Grimes versus Carmelo Hayes, and Cameron Grimes might go over Tony D'Angelo.
He'll beat Cameron Grimes. I hope so. Yeah.
So Cameron Grimes came out. Tony D'Angelo did say he wants to go after the North American title. Carmelo and Trick came out. I mean, this was a good. I thought this was probably my high point of the evening.
I like the segment.
Yeah, but are we worried that more people are going after Carmelo Hayes and the North American Championship than Braun Breaker?
Yeah.
Nobody's like really outside of Santos Escobar calling him a C word in Spanish, which I pop. Nobody's going for that title, which I mean, in a way, it makes sense. You just unify two titles, which makes the North American Championship feel more important. But I feel like people should be trying to gun for the NXT title, and it doesn't feel like anybody's really after Bro Breakker, where Carmelo Hayes feels like the man of the hour in NXT.
Yeah, more than that, I feel like they should be building up their world champion, because you look at Carmelo Hayes, who got the heater, who has a story, has a catchphrase. Same with Grayson Waller, as I was saying earlier. And Bron Breakker just not even second fiddle. He seemed third fiddle on the show because he was limited to a backstage segment. And his character is basically, somebody fight me. Like, that's basically his character. I know he's going to be in a feud with Santos Escobar, but they're not really giving him much to sink into in terms of us getting invested in his character.
If Tony D'Angelo becomes the North American Championship, that is the main title in NXT.
Yes, any title that the GOAT has. I hope he doesn't beat Carmelo for it. Let him go after Bron Breakker.
Well, remember, Cameron Grimes could be in that match to take the pin.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
you get
true.
the one-on-one.
Very true.
You know? There's some things they could do there. It was good, but yeah, I mean, Bron Breakker, look. Bron Breakker, God, this is going to be a weird sort of comparison to make. Issa, cover your ears. Bron Breakker reminds me of when Roman got the big championship push before Roman really had a character that got people invested, and everyone was like, well, this guy looks good and he wrestles good, and you know, he looks like a main event guy, but we didn't all feel it yet. Like, I feel with Braun, like, Braun's good, but there's no there. You know?
Look, Glenn, if you just want to fight me, just say fight me. Okay, you don't have to be giving me these subtle hints, talking trash about Roman just to get me to say I want to fight you. When I see you, we'll fight.
Roman became really, really good, and I love his character, but there was that in-between time when...
There's no in-between time. Roman has always been the greatest.
When he showed up in NXT and sounded like a really hip youth pastor wearing that suit, like he maybe wanted to sell you a timeshare, I liked that Roman Reigns that we first met in NXT.
I can see the parallels, though, you know, in terms of a guy who everybody believes is ready. The officials are high up. And sometimes that's your own worst enemy, is when those reports start coming out that officials are high on so-and-so, and then people will just turn on them knowing that there are plans for them.
So you were on my side.
They think they know everything.
Alfred.
I'm just trying to even out the odds. I'm not saying it's 100%.
No, you're taking Glenn's side here. Like, first of all, we're comparing Bron Breakker to Roman Reigns. Like, this conversation should not be no version of Roman Reigns.
Both alliterative,
okay,
both second-generation wrestlers. I mean, the comparisons are there.
In fact, I'll go with
there is no comparison.
Okay, at least, Roman was the big dog. He had the Superman punch, the spear. With Braun, what's Braun's character?
I don't even. Was his finisher?
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't even ooh.
But he looks like a champ, and he feels like a credible guy. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not.
It's so weird that they have all these stories to tell. They have all these vignettes forever. They're going to tell you everybody's stories except for the world champion. It's ridiculous.
It just feels a bit lacking. Santos Escobar, I feel like, look, Legado del Fantasma was a very menacing faction even before Elektra Lopez got involved. You know,
the key word there is was.
Yes,
they ran into the ground too much.
I don't know. I think it got derailed by that. Not that this is the fault of Elektra Lopez. I just think the way they chose to tell this story, where they just centered around Elektra, and then Santos became kind of a goon. And then all of a sudden, he's supposed to be the number one contender. So now, not even his challenges are like these dominant wrestlers. So I think it really hurt Legado del Fantasma how they pivoted that weird storyline where they did between Zion Quinn and Elektra Lopez.
I concur. So let's see. We had backstage Brooks and Dunn with Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro walking them in, inviting them out to drinks. And Wendy Chu resting on top of the locker. I'm thinking that they wanted to be, you know, that she was sleeping in a row of lockers like Gary Coleman. And what was that movie when he lived in the train station and slept in the lockers? Oh, the kid with the 2000 IQ. Was that the one?
That's not what the movie was.
Gary Coleman had a bunch of TV. Yeah, you know the one where we're sleeping in the lockers. WWE wanted that, but they were like, we don't even have the right style of lockers for that. He really liked trains.
On the right track.
on the right track. Watched that a couple years ago. Still holds up. He had like his like gang of street kids that were like, I think there was like money. They like found some money. It was a whole thing. So with Wendy, I'd like to think that was the original plan, but she was sleeping on top of the lockers and just sort of chilling, drinking her water.
I kind of thought that
Imagine
was,
if she stopped. Go ahead, Alfred.
No, I just thought I kind of thought it was funny, the reveal that she was on the locker and we didn't see her. It was funny.
I imagine if she starts a faction or like a stable or like an army, and like to become part of it, it's just the people that fall asleep watching NXT. She will have the biggest army.
Oh my God. Okay, so here's the question. Does this happen in NXT or on the main roster? I want the over-under like Price is Right here. We're taking bets. How long until we get a Wendy Chu sleepover segment?
I would say, because we're probably definitely getting that, like a talking segment with her. I'd say
called the sleepover. The sleepover.
1 month.
Okay, one month that quick.
1 month that quick, yes.
I'm gonna say it's not happening.
Wow.
If I'm them, here's what I do. I take Wendy and I have her invite every female on the roster to a sleepover. And there's going to be a segment like in the ring, right? Everyone brings their sleeping bags. They're sitting there. Everyone is in their pajamas. And then what it really turns into is she's going to then go down the list one by one and talk some trash and then announce that should be the new number one contender for the women's championship. But she gets them all together to sort of like announce and pit them against each other when then she like crowns herself the number one contender.
That would work. Machiavellian.
That's how I do it. But she's scene stealer, right? Of this segment. This was great.
I really want them to amp this up, like where somebody's revealing a big secret or some dark secret, and then they zoom out and she was on top the whole time sleeping and they didn't know, and so now she knows the secret. Or do something creative that ties into other storylines. There's a lot of potential with this.
She's sleeping, but then they zoom in and she smiles, and then we know that she's awake. She heard the whole thing.
Kind of like what they did with Nikki Cross when they did that whole reveal with Aleister Black, where she knew, and she really got over in NXT doing that, where she's like, I know, and everybody was going crazy for her.
Yeah, I would like that actually.
I would love it if they yelled out nap time, Edward's cousin saying scream nap time, and everyone falls asleep. They bring out the mats like in kindergarten and just in the middle of NXT, just everybody gets like a 5-minute power nap.
Graham crackers.
Yeah, be good times. So we got a video package on Valentina Feroz and Yulisa Leon, who've been teaming up on 205 Live. I feel like I need to be watching 205 Live.
I don't think I've ever heard that sentence spoken in my life.
I see the clips, and it seems like they're having some very good women's wrestling on that show.
Yeah, this felt very when AEW does that thing where they just throw a storyline at you that happens on Dark and Elevation, and people are not watching that, and you have to keep up with their YouTube shows and this and that. That's what this felt like to me. That it's like, okay, if I'm tuning in just every Tuesday, you just lost me. Like, or at least explain like everything. I don't know. I don't want to tune into an additional show to watch something. If they're that good, bring them onto NXT and make them wrestle there.
Is the women's Dusty happening only on 205 Live?
I don't think so. I think they're going to have matches on NXT. I couldn't imagine them doing the whole thing.
Why is it still called 205 Live? Why is it still called that?
Yeah.
It should be called Random Live. Because you don't even know what matches they're putting on there.
Open Weight Live.
I think Friday night is going to be a year from now WWE Impact. Friday night on Peacock.
Keep that alive, Glenn. Let's go. It should be called All Inclusive Live.
I forgot the Joe Gacy segment backstage with Harlan and Odyssey Jones. Oh my God.
Crippled poor Odyssey.
And my wife just keeps looking at the screen and looking at me, and she's like, you guys do kind of have a passing resemblance to one another. I'm just like, just stop.
No.
Ever since I heard that, I can't unsee it. I didn't believe it before.
You can't unsee it. Same.
Same. It's almost like it is your face.
His shoot last name is a shortened version of mine. So
the first time I heard it was on one of my lives on my YouTube channel, and I literally stopped right then and there when I read that comment. I was like, oh my God. I'm sorry, Glenn. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Let's talk about Kaylie Ray versus Ivy Nile. Ivy Nile getting the win.
Hell yeah.
Always team Ivy Nile forever.
This might have been the high point for me because I'm watching this match. I'm like, oh God, they're going to beat Ivy Nile because Kaylie Ray's getting the next shot. So I'm thinking like, why are you going to set her up with Ivy Nile? Why not somebody else, anybody else? But Ivy Nile got the win. I was pleasantly surprised. And I just think they should keep her as unbeaten as possible for as long as possible because there's something there.
But then how does it make sense if Kaylie Ray gets attacked after, so she lost clean, and then gets attacked by Toxic Attraction? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that Kaylie Ray wins the women's championship in that feud.
She's not gonna.
They shouldn't have had this match. Because you got to protect Ivy Nile, but then you're beating the number one contender, even though Mandy did get involved. I don't think they should have had this match. I am surprised and pleasantly surprised that Ivy Nile won, but they did damage, I feel like, to Kaylie Ray as the number one contender.
Yeah,
I agree with you guys on that, but I do love Ivy Nile. There's something about her. She has a little bit of an it factor, commands the room. I love her, and I hope they keep her winning matches. So I'm not going to be mad at an Ivy Nile win. She's great.
Yeah. But how do you have her not in contention for the championship? And then, like, I think Ivy Nile is like the next Asuka or Shayna, where we're going to have someone monopolize that women's title if she wins it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And you know what she kind of reminds me of? You're going to think I'm crazy. Is Hook. I get Hook vibes from Ivy Nile. Just that she's this pocket monster who's very believable, even though it's not easy to make a short person believable as a monster. And she does it very well, just like Hook does.
Did you just call her a Pokemon?
I said a pocket monster.
Yeah, that's what Pokemon. That's what Pokemon stands for. Pocket monster. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It is. Yeah. So yes, I did call her a Pokemon.
You got your clippy, so there you go. Be sure to tag Ivy Nile in that.
I just want to say, let's not compare any of these people to anybody from the Black and Gold. Just so they have a shot. That's all.
Too much pressure on them.
Yeah. So, Sarai. Sarai had a vignette. She returned to Japan to recover mentally and physically. She's back, and she's got her grandmother's necklace.
Is it just me, or does she look like an entirely different person with pigtails in the glasses? If they wouldn't have told me it was Sarai and she wouldn't have said that obviously throughout, I would not have known who that was.
Same. I thought it was somebody else. It took me a second to put everything together. I was like, is this a new person? She looked nothing like I remember.
It is quite a change in image.
You know what? What if it's like the Ultimate Warrior, where people think there's two Ultimate Warriors? What if there's two Saray's and that's not Sarai?
Avril Lavigne?
Yeah.
You hear that Avril Lavigne is dead and she's been replaced? Shut the front door.
Something doesn't smell right. That looked nothing like Sarai. And you've heard me sing her praises. I actually very much enjoy her work. I've gone back and watched some of her matches. I'm very familiar with what she looked like. And I'm sure it's a makeover or whatnot, but I'm going to keep a close watch of what she looks like in the ring. And if it doesn't look like what Sarai is, we're going to start these conspiracy theories.
Speaking of Avril, did you see the When We Were Young festival that got announced in Vegas for October?
Oh, wow. Who else is on
It's like Avril Lavigne, Paramore, My Chemical Romance, Taking Back Sunday, Jimmy Eat World. It's like every band that was big from 2000 to 2004 in the alternative emo rock scene. And then Avril Lavigne.
Say no more. We're coming, Glenn. We're staying with you. Thanks for the invite.
I saw that Lauren Moran's getting a bunch of people to rent a house or something. You should hit her up.
No, we're staying with you.
The cats. We have the cats.
It's okay. It's fine.
I guess
I'll bring some catnip.
You could find a corner here amongst the boxes in my studio. Really got to get around to putting this together one day. It's a makeshift table. Sarai. What if the necklace has powers like Shazam or something, and that's where.
And that's what turns her into the Sarai that we're used to.
Look, you're telling me the way they were flashing that necklace and we're up close on that necklace, you're telling me that necklace doesn't have powers?
I think they're focusing on the necklace so they can get heat so a heel can rip it in half because it belonged to her grandmother, I recall. So this just feels like something they're doing to build up the big segment when maybe Toxic Attraction rips it and steps on it and throws it into the crowd.
Glenn, Alfred, you know what we need to do? We need to let it play out. Okay.
Yes. Alexa Bliss did remind us today to let these storylines play out, ladies and gentlemen. Give it time.
I died when you sent me that at the end. Died.
Let it play out, everybody.
What if Saray loans the necklace to another female wrestler, loans it to another, and then ultimately figured out who ends up in the pit?
What if the necklace doesn't belong to her grandmother at all, like in Cruella, where the necklace was just like a big fat theory and like you find out all these messed up things from it? Cruella was such a good movie. So
I hear good things about it. I still gotta watch it.
Oh my God, you need to watch it. You
It
have
is
to watch it. I love
Different
it.
than what you were expecting. It's very, very enjoyable.
In a good way.
Yeah, it was very good though. Very good.
Did you
No dogs
leave
are
the
harmed.
movie? Did you leave Cruella like, oh, I would have killed those dogs too? Like, did you sympathize with the dog
No
murder?
dogs are harmed. I left the movie theater wanting to be either Cruella or friends with her.
Wow.
But I'm dark. You guys know that. I'm not all there. Disregard. Okay, let's just move on. What else?
So, what else happened tonight? Then we had the Tag Team Classic match, Legado del Fantasma versus Malik Blade and Idris Enofe. So during this match, Braun Breaker got into it with Escobar, and I believe, Alfred, this is what we were talking about, the potential Cinderella story of Malik and Idris going through in the tournament.
I love it. I hope they go all the way. If you watch March Madness, which is a great tournament, it is built on upsets just like this. So it's good that WWE isn't being so predictable with its bracket. I will say the commentary made it so obvious that an upset was happening. I wish I was watching this on mute because then I would have really been surprised. But they immediately Wade Barrett's going on about, oh, these guys are huge favorites. There's no way they're losing this. And you just can kind of tell that, okay, Wade, if the heel is really building him up like this, they're doing it so that it's even more shocking. And then Vic Joseph saying bracket buster, like the WWE production of this made it seem kind of fake, but the execution of having this underdog win is really good and making it seem like a legitimate tournament.
Yeah.
I do think they do a good job at getting an offset here and there with the Dusty tournament. Like, I do think it always happens where we always get one thing when we're like, wait, what? But F in the chat for Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
So, after that, we had Roderick Strong warming up backstage for his main event match tonight.
Issa does it better than Roderick did. She throws better punches.
Yulisa Leon versus Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai getting that win.
2 more video packages that we now, I believe it was Valentina Feroz and Luisa Leon.
Yeah.
I was surprised that she lost after all that buildup that they gave her.
What
Were
is
you
going
really
on?
surprised? Were you really surprised?
I mean, I shouldn't have been, but a little bit. I just expected if they're going to do the vignette and they did the backstage segment, it seemed like they were introducing us. And then now she just lost like anybody else would have.
And why did they introduce Tiffany Stratton and then no Tiffany Stratton? Why?
It's it's ADD. It's ADHD 2.0.
Yes. So then we had Raquel Gonzalez saying what's next after Mandy Rose retained, and Cora Jade walks up, and then Cora Jade proposes they team up for the Dusty Classic. Gonzalez says no, so in a week we'll be asking can they coexist?
Yes. And I mean, we were talking about the stories. Like, this is a pretty interesting. I wish every team had their own story. So we got the can we coexist, we got the upset, but I wish they did a different story for everybody to get us more interested in the tournament as a whole. Because
what other stories would you
cares?
suggest, Alfred? Like, what other stories do you think they should do?
I mean, I don't work for free, but if you could pay me a little money, I could come up with some stuff that every team could do. I mean, how hard can it be? You could do a on the right track storyline where one team is homeless and living in a train station or something. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you could do.
Through Brooks and Dunn are trying to save the community center. I don't know how they're going to do it by winning, but somehow by winning, they save the community center.
Well, there you go. They could say that they get a bunch of money if they win this match, and so you're rooting for them, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Or MSK should be placing a bet on themselves because they need to raise money for like someone's operation. So it's like an over-the-top scenario. Maybe they sell their truck, they sell their scooters.
Or they say that they go dry, like they're, no substance abuse or anything like that until they win those titles. So people are like rooting for them to win this tournament so they can finally get their hands on some of that ganja.
I like that one.
See, I do this for free, by the way.
Yeah. We need stakes. We need stories. That's what's sorely lacking. So, Walter versus Roderick Strong. I mean, was there any question who was going to win this match?
No, there was not, but it was still a very good match. I thought they worked very hard and did a lot of crazy stuff. And this felt like more than a television match. I really liked it.
Is it interesting that Roderick, being like an OG Diamond Mine, like Ivy Nile, is probably the strongest presented, most consistently booked member of Diamond Mine at this point?
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true. I feel like she should have her own theme music even. I feel like they should really start presenting her as an individual star, because we heard that Diamond Mine theme music, 3 times tonight?
Yeah.
They're going to give her a Pokemon theme music.
Yeah.
She's a pocket monster.
It's Ivy. That would be a great entrance. It's like, you remember those Pokemon where it was a silhouette? Like, who's that Pokemon? And then they turn it on. It's Pikachu. That should be her entrance.
I'm not mad at that at all.
Oh my God, I just got so much nostalgia from that. Thank you for that.
Malcolm Bivens got
your idea.
Malcolm got a lot of time to talk tonight, which was good.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of TV time for him. I really enjoyed the main event. I thought this match was awesome. I did think, I don't know, there was something about Roderick Strong. There was at one point he's got Walter. I'm not calling him anything else but Walter. He's got Walter on the top rope, and the size difference just looks so ridiculous. The way the camera angle worked, where I was just like, why are we watching this? Like, and we knew who was going to win going ahead of time, and you're supposed to suspend your disbelief. But there was a couple of times where you're just like, there's why? Why are we doing this?
Why?
But I thought Roderick Strong put on a great match.
Yeah. It was good, but yeah, I don't know. For me, I have to believe that it could go either way, and I just felt like this was not going either way.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing that made it slightly less enjoyable. It was very predictable.
Well, and they could have given some more stakes maybe to, I mean, you got Diamond Mine, like that's a whole team of people that could interfere. Not that Strong should be winning dirty, but you could have at least, I don't know. Someone could have like distracted Walter with like.
Agreed, but I do think there was so many interruptions and involvement of other people in every other segment that I had a little bit of appreciation for Diamond Mine or Imperium just minding their own business and letting them wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so this was a very, very good match. Walter won, and after took the mic and said the winner is Gunther.
Uh-oh.
And we had then Imperium attack the ring, rush the ring, attack Strong. Creed Brothers hit the ring, assisted Strong. Fans chanted NXT, and then went off the air. So I'm assuming 6-man tag next week. Gunther and Imperium versus Diamond Mine.
Welcome to the era of Gunther.
No.
Wow. No.
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 Oh my God. Now I'm very interested to tune in. It's probably not even going to be next week. Probably by tomorrow, we're going to know whether or not this name change is official. But
it's not. Stop. It's not. There's no way. No way.
Walter is the ultimate version of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Of pound for pound of anybody who's not on the main roster, who doesn't need any type of character change. Walter might be at the top of that. Like, they're going to tweak everybody. But if there's anybody where you say, this is the guy who you want to see in NXT UK, NXT and WWE the same way, it's Walter. But they're going to tweak him. And, you know, hopefully this is the end of it, because maybe they'll start changing his gear around and he'll start wearing like colorful gear. And, you know,
like what colors?
I can't wait for him to wear a mask and a helmet.
Good Lord.
He's gonna show up at the Rumble in a full freaking
In a demolition. They probably still have it lying around.
In like a freaking metal mask and the helmet and the suspenders. It's gonna be great.
Nobody likes this new name.
Yeah, change is always tough especially with WWE when they tweak somebody who's very popular. So of course, everything about Walter, I think a lot of people appreciate a lot of his bona fides, and anything you change is going to get heat with this dedicated fan base. And if you start with his name, that's really going to get heat.
It's a name change. It's not even like they dropped a last name. No, they changed the name.
Yeah, they don't have a last name to drop. See, that's where he messed up. He didn't have a last name to shield that first name. If he had the foresight, called himself like Walter Gunther, maybe they dropped the Gunther.
That's even worse somehow. The two of them together. Walter Gunther. That's like you got sand in my bubble gum. Like it doesn't work at all.
Don't knock
just
sand
don't
bubble
like
gum
it.
until you
I don't
try.
like it. And people in the chat are saying that it really is official. I can't.
Oof. So is it spelled Gunther? Good Lord.
I guess.
I think
It's
they're going to realize
WALTER.
I think that could be edited out, and they're just going to go back to Walter by the end of the week.
Do you think the crowd's going to play along? Because I know they're that NXT Florida crowd that they're super fans and tend to play along with WWE's storyline. But a change like this, do you think they're just going to defiantly chant Walter the whole time?
They're going to overdub it in Gunther, Gunther, and it's just going to be like some NXT stooge. It's going to be like HBK going like, Gunther.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that they tell them that they'll be like, you can take a picture with HBK if you stay here and chant these things just so they can record them and use them later, So like, we'll bring HBK out here if you all chant Gunther now, or if you chant this, and then they'll just pipe them in moving forward.
Oh my God, I can see them doing that.
I know, me too.
So weird. This was an okay episode of NXT, though. I mean, I think the tournament stuff, it is what it is. I think I'm curious. I think the Women's Dusty might get, with the amount of women's wrestling they've had on 205 Live, I don't know how they accommodate two tournaments on one show.
Yeah, I'm sure most of the matches are going to be, especially for the women's tournament, is going to be on 205 Live. But I'd imagine like the semifinals, maybe the bigger matches as we get closer to the end will be on NXT TV.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. At the All Valley tournament, they have women's and men's this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Divided 16 each?
No, I don't remember what it was. Watch Cobra Kai, the new season.
Oh, okay. No spoilers.
No spoil. I don't think that's spoiling it.
Okay.
To say women's and men's. I mean, it just makes sense to have like a male and female, right? I mean, probably makes sense. I don't know. This was okay tonight. I mean, it wasn't as good as our Manscaped talk earlier, which I think the high point of everyone's day.
Yeah, very high point. Right?
Yeah.
Shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped, and their shampoo. Their shampoo is very delightful.
Oh, interesting.
It smells very good. I've heard.
Oh, yeah, Nikita Lyons is on 205 Live. Have you seen Nikita Lyons yet?
I have not. I don't think so.
Faithy J. She actually got in at the Las Vegas tryout, and she's been wrestling. She was in Women of Wrestling, I think, as the Lion.
Okay,
yeah, she's good.
I've seen her. Yeah, because I went to those tapings when they were in LA.
Yeah, really good look. I think she could be a real force.
Very nice.
In NXT. We'll see. So that was the show, everybody. Tomorrow night, Rampage.
No, Dynamite.
Dynamite, sorry. I get confused. But I'm sure the accountant is on TBS before Dynamite. So enjoy those last 5 minutes with the big reveal at the end.
I'll be tuning in 5 minutes early just for that.
It's a solid movie. I'm not saying it's great. Ben Affleck is very underrated.
Yeah, because there's like two generations of Ben Affleck. There's the Ben Affleck who was in all those terrible movies and Geely and stuff like that. And then I don't know if he got a new manager or whatnot. And then starting with, I think, The Town, it was just a completely, and then Argo.
He broke up with J-Lo. Started making great movies. Now he's back together with her. So I don't know what we're going to do moving forward.
The Town is probably in my top 10 films of the last 20 years.
Yeah, I would say, I would definitely
movie.
put it there. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's really good.
I love Jeremy Renner in that. He's so good in that movie.
Jeremy Renner, isn't it weird that with Hawkeye, everyone sort of turned around on Jeremy Renner now? It's like people were into him when he won the Oscar, and then they were against him. I think it was the music career, and I think he had his own like app, like the Jeremy Renner app. That'll turn people against you. But now with Hawkeye, he's back.
Good for him.
Did you watch Hawkeye yet?
I haven't seen Hawkeye, no.
It's very good. Probably.
Are you recommended? I'm on the fence about watching it, but I'll check it out eventually.
It's I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I think Marvel figured out how to do something just really fast paced, lighthearted. It's not like, I mean, Loki was good, loved WandaVision, but those were like slower build. But Hawkeye is just boom, 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 start to finish. You know? Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. And Peacemaker's out now. I still need to watch that.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I need to get to it. I heard so many good things about it. I need to just watch it.
I've also seen the opening credits where he does his dance number, and I was like, I have to watch this show. This is just, this is going to be hilarious.
So tomorrow night, Dynamite. Friday night. Yes, The Accountant and Dynamite. Friday night. It's a new season of Snowpiercer, apparently, and now there's 2 trains. Stopped watching during season 1. It was a little slow.
This is what we need to be talking about on Issa's stream for an hour every month.
Yeah.
Everybody, have a good rest of your week. We will catch you back here, the 3 of us, Friday. Till next time, take care. And follow Alfred at This Is Nasty. Follow Issa at NYC Demon Diva. That's Steve with the 1. Catch you back here on the Wrestling Inc.